Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
Rare opportunity to show up and give money directly to the man, also known as Carl Benz, rest in peace.
The Stealership. All right, you guys, well, good morning. Welcome back to Channel Anderson, and welcome to a special one today. Got my good friend Ali here with us from channel Afflicted. You guys saw a while back, he hosted me on his channel for a live. So we've been talking about, returning the favor for a while, and time finally caught up with us to do it. So welcome to Ali. I'll do a quick intro and then I'll have you kind of tell us a little bit of your backstory before we jump into things. But from what I know, former pro snowboarder, had like a 10-year plus career, avid car enthusiast, obviously, has built a couple Audis, one really crazy one, I believe. We'll talk about that. And then as of recent, he's had a 560 SEC, his C124. Was that your 560? Is that right?
Yep. Yeah, kind of started it off with the 560.
Yeah, and then the C124 turbo build, which we're going to be talking today about possibly manual swapping.
Absolutely.
And, overall, just a good friend and somebody I've been happy to connect with in this whole community that we live in. So, yeah, thank you to Ali. You guys say what's up, and go ahead, tell us a little backstory of yourself.
Yeah, what's up, everybody? I just want to make sure, Brooks, how the audio, you don't have too much background noise from the street.
No, it sounds good. Yeah, you're good.
Cool. Yeah, so, like you said, I was a pro snowboarder for a while. Kind of got the love for cars, and initially it was like the Audi Heritage that had me hyped on rally and all of that. And, I loved the shape of all Benz, but they never had, they had manuals, but like you just didn't really find manuals. So for the longest time, it didn't make sense. But then, as I kind of made my return after having some kids and, putting my focus there, and I made my return back to the auto affliction as it is, I started to get into Benz and started to learn a lot about the super rad, robust history of everything that Benz does and how they're always pushing the progression of, safety and luxury and performance. And, also being the true original car manufacturer, the oldest manufacturer. They say Peugeot is the oldest car company in the world, but they started out making pepper grinders. So they got nothing on Carl Benz. And to me, it's always Benz. To some people, it's Mercedes, but to me, it's Benz because it was Carl who made the cars. And the only reason it's Mercedes-Benz is because I forgot the name of the guy, but he commissioned Carl to make like 5 of these race cars to race in a series. And his daughter was named Mercedes, and the cars were successful, and they were called Mercedes. And then people referred to them as Mercedes-Benz. So, but every model throughout history is always progression, and so it's I got a lot of love for Benz. Plus, there's a lot of great old Benz that you can find these days because they run forever, and they made a lot of them. You want to get a cool old Audi, choices are kind of few and far between, and anyway, but I'm just deep into it, but really I love all cars too. It doesn't matter, muscle car, rat rod, slam Toyota pickup. I don't care if it's cool and it's well done. I'm down.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah, that's my vibe.
That's one of the things we connect on, is just like, overall love of cars. And real quick, if you know who that was in the comments, drop it down. Like who was the person that coined the father of the daughter Mercedes that ended up being Mercedes-Benz? You guys let us know. You can do a Google search while we're here. The one thing I got to thank you for that was unexpected, I was listening to your podcast on the Bombhole yesterday. Shout out to those guys. But I was listening to that yesterday, and I didn't realize as a kid I was always, hanging out in the swimming pool, doing tricks and this and that. And we used to always do the Misty flip. And this man right here, you guys, is, self-proclaimed and other proclaimed inventor of the Misty flip. So that was a cool bit of info. I was like, what the heck? That's crazy.
Yeah, it's funny. I guess if you watch some of that Bombhole, then you know that there's some controversy around it. Really, I was the first one photographed and published, and they said, well, what do you call it?
Yeah.
And I said, well, we'll call it the Misty Flip, because of all that you heard about.
Yeah.
But I also came to find out that, history is interesting and people's memories are interesting. And my good buddy E Stone, who was the co-host, he's got a different story where he named it because we collaborated on what the name was. And,
Yeah.
the truth is in the middle. I don't know. Like, it was a
Yeah.
long time ago. I'm sure. I mean, we lived together. So,
Yeah.
I could have been like, what do we call this thing? And he's like, blah, blah. And then we all agreed on Misty. But anyway, it's out there.
Yeah, it was just a funny
Yeah.
bit of info. Finding you
Yeah.
connected to that. I was like, oh, that's cool. Yeah. So getting into the builds, the first way I stumbled upon your channel was actually thinking about this thing right here. Turbo is always in the back of my mind for the M104. And when I was looking around, I just happened to stumble upon your channel and found your Turbo M103 build.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I thought it was like just really well done, and I thought you laid it out super nicely and calmly, and that's your whole kind of vibe in the channel, is which I've enjoyed. And you also did it on a really good budget. So I guess just talk a little bit about like how you started out with wanting to turbo that thing, and then kind of how you made your decision on what parts to collect and all that, just the journey.
Right. Yeah. So, I'm a big hunter, and what I learned from building cars in the past was you can spend a ton of money if you want exactly something. But I found this coupe on eBay, and it looked pretty rough in the photos. Like, they weren't great. And so I pulled this thing out of the Bay Area for a crazy price, $2,900.
Yeah.
The interior was pretty trashed, and so that kind of gave the vibe of the build, which was, it's not going to be a restoration because it wasn't perfect to begin with, and it was $2,900. So, like, I don't want to,
Yeah.
spend $20,000 on it. But it was pretty nice. I mean, what you see now is basically what it was. It's, this is it. And cleaned it up real nice. And there's still lots of cleaning to do.
Yeah.
But, the impetus for the turbo was really that my bumper was cracked. The lower part of the bumper was cracked. And it was like, okay, source a bumper, paint it. Even if you're doing that on the cheap, it's probably going to cost you $600.
Yeah.
And, eBay turbo kind of has a bad connotation, but the reality is that the kit is just a kit of pieces, and it's got a max beating turbo. It's a reputable UK brand, and
Yeah.
so that's half of the cost of the turbo kit. Basically, is the bumper. So I
Yeah.
kind of mocked it up on my Photoshop and decided that it was going to look cool for me, and then move forward and cut that bumper and put an intercooler in it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of part of my whole process is
Yeah.
keeping the cost down, but trying to be tasteful within reason. Like, not everyone's going to love a sort of JDM style, with the intercooler hanging out. But when you see it over here, I mean, it's hard to deny that it's not really kind of working with
Yeah.
the car.
Yeah.
It follows the lines of the grill and all that. So
Yeah. It's
so
like mirroring the
yeah.
grill. It's cool.
Yeah. So I mean, that's, I kind of, like I say, I tested that out on Photoshop, and it looked like it was going to be the thing. So we'll pop the hood too, so
Yeah. Check it
people can
out.
see. But yeah, like you said, I did the full build, and ran through like all the pieces and linked all the things, and I did that because this is sort of like lost knowledge, right? Like, people didn't believe that you could turbo on stock CIS without going, standalone management and stuff like that,
Yeah.
because that's just where we're at these days. You turbo, you build the engine, you put a standalone management on it.
Yeah.
But you could buy this car and you could go get a Musselman turbo put on from Mercedes, and that's all they did was bolt it right up. And the Musselman actually had an intercooler that sat here, so it was all under the hood.
Yeah.
But you can see on my channel how I did it. I basically turned up the fuel pressure a little bit, and I adjusted the idle control a little bit, and gapped my plugs, and now we're like 270 wheel horsepower, and that was with 7 psi on the dyno because the dyno didn't have resistance, but I get 9 psi on the street, so somewhere close to 300, which is enough to drive it sideways as much as you want.
Yeah, and it's fantastic.
It makes all the good.
Yeah.
It moves out.
Your screen froze out a little bit. I can still hear you though.
Is it going to come back?
We'll see.
It's weird that I froze out.
Let's see.
My kid tried to call me, but I denied him.
Oh.
But I don't know why I'm still frozen.
Let's see.
That's weird. I'm going to, let's see here. Moving back. Maybe if I change my camera around. I don't know why I'm totally froze out.
That's weird.
Hold on a sec. I'm going to try to close this.
We'll get it figured out, guys. Technical difficulties for a second.
Tech diff. What the heck? Let me see. What else can I do here? I'm going to swipe out.
Yeah, we can do that. All right, try that out. All right, guys. Thank you to those that are here. I see 6 of us in here. I got the chat to my left, by the way. So if you guys have any questions or just comments or anything like that, feel free. I got it right here, so I'll be able to see it. I'm a lot better set up than last time we did the live, so I can interact with you guys and actually see what's going on. There we go.
There we go. Hopefully that doesn't mess up our live.
No, it should be good. I was still watching it on the screen over here. It should be fine.
Cool. Yeah, sometimes the kids have needs. I know he just woke up, probably wants breakfast.
Yeah, shout out to the kids for sure.
For sure.
I was gonna segue kind of off that because you were saying, a lot of people have forgotten that those systems are capable of, turboing without a standalone management. And I've kind of recently been delving into just what's capable of what, and those CIS injection systems, as well as the fuel pumps that came on those things, were pretty crazy. Like, you can run big numbers at them. I was talking to Quick Classics, Matthew Quick, that builds some insane M113 swap stuff, and he's still running like stock fuel pumps and from way back then, and they can supply a ton of fuel. So
nice. That's always good to hear.
Yeah.
So I think,
CIS is a little crazy looking. It's a retro thing for sure, but it's pretty capable. So it's a good thing to know, at least.
Yeah, it's definitely freaks some people out.
Yeah.
But it's funny. It's like, I don't know, not to delve into stuff too crazy, but it's like history. Like, if you don't know your history, then you don't know where you're going. And the history's out there. I had to do a lot of digging, and a lot of the information was on, old threads and stuff that people don't really visit anymore because it's all, it's all YouTube, Instagram, and the old threads. So I pulled a lot of knowledge from a lot of different places, and couldn't be happier.
Nice.
It's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah. There you go. Told you guys it sounds good. That's awesome.
Man, it sounds good.
So
it makes all the backfire sounds, which is nice.
Yeah, I just heard you guys to go check out when we get out of here. Go check out his channel. Go watch the dyno videos. Go check out his other content, of course, too. But the dyno videos, hearing that thing rip on the dyno was awesome. The next segue I wanted to go into, if you guys do subscribe to Auto Afflicted already, you guys know that he picked up a kind of crazy 190D that is still a running, driving good car, but unfortunately, I had a rollover, right, and the roof is kind of.
It actually got hit by a deer.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Deer, deer and big animals do some crazy damage. So it like folded in the roof, and it like ripped the rear quarter panel a little bit and stuff.
Yeah. So,
but
the cool thing is, though, it came with something special.
Yeah. The reason I bought it is it has that 5-speed manual in it, and everyone's like, oh, do you want to manual swap your coupe? And it's like, yeah, I do, but I don't want to put another 3,000 or some odd dollars into it. And that 190D turned up for $600.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh well, I guess here we go.
Yeah, that's pretty much the cost of the transmission. I mean, most time those 5 speeds, you'll see them listed for a lot more actually. So being able to get the whole car comes with everything you need. It's kind of a no-brainer. Although, makes it a little difficult to haul a car around instead of just a transmission. But
Yeah, well, sort of. Like it's
yeah,
easier for me to put that car in a trailer and
yeah,
trailer it on the Porsche. Or I mean, where I work on my cars at the high school is only a few miles away, so I'll probably just drive that thing over
yeah. I know.
because
Yeah,
it drives.
the fact that it runs and drives is testament to the old diesel engines, anyways. But
Yes,
we
and it
know.
was well loved. It was
Yeah,
well loved.
yeah. When I was watching the video, it seemed like the guy, he was pretty proud of it. Like it runs and drives good, and
Oh yeah. I
it
mean, it
does.
had a paint job, and they
Yeah,
put new headlights on it. They're depot headlights.
yeah,
The aftermarket clears and stuff. But amazingly, this is the most amazing thing to me. It still had the original plastic underbelly pan.
yeah. I remember you saying that. That's pretty crazy.
That is crazy because that's like the first thing to go on any car. I feel like the
Yeah, I
mechanic
don't
takes
have.
it off and never puts it back on, and then
Yeah,
or it rips off.
even that's funny because when we were out cruising these two things the other day, that was the first thing that we had to stop for was the C36's belly pan was falling off. So it's sitting it's sitting in the trunk of the C55 right now, and who knows if it'll go back on. But that's cool. So that is kind of like the next adventure. Most likely is you're going to be trying to manual swap the coupe.
Yeah, yeah. Once
That's what
it
it's
gets
looking
back
like.
in session, I'll be doing that.
Yeah, and that's so
Yeah.
you work out of the high school. Do you have a buddy or somebody that is over there like for a tech class, or you just have it in with the
Yeah,
school?
my friend is he's the auto shop teacher and just a really cool guy. He loves rally and builds crazy vehicles, but he's kind enough to let me work on my cars there. And most of their classes are like sort of auto shop 101 or small engines. So,
Yeah.
um, a lot of that stuff is just sort of laying around as far as the lifts, the paint booth, the alignment, just they
Yeah.
have everything there. It's insane. They have the top end Hunter tire machine. So
Yeah, that's cool.
I just have a hard time paying for any of that stuff
Oh,
when I can do it myself.
yeah, we're one and the same in that regard. Yeah, it's very hard to put something you love into somebody else's hands that you don't know if they're gonna care for it as much as you would. So
Right. Yeah, like you were saying, I mean, it almost doesn't matter like how much someone's charging or how, detail oriented they claim to be.
yeah,
Unfortunately, it's rare that anyone cares as much about someone else's stuff, even their customer stuff, as as we do. Some customers don't care, but
yeah. I
we
just
care. We care a lot.
I feel like I go through like every couple of years, like I have a bad experience, and I'm like, okay, I'm never taking something to a shop again, never doing that again. And then a few years go by, and I'm like willing to try again, and I just did that same thing with powder coating to the pieces for the M113K, and the overall experience in the end, I was just like, I should have just figured this out myself. Like it just wasn't an overall good experience, so it kind of sucked to be reminded again. But anyways, not to be a Debbie Downer, but yeah, it's hard to find people that will care as much as you do about the stuff for little projects like that. Um, Going into the history a bit, tell us about your Audi. It was a coupe, and it was like RS2 style, or what was your white Audi?
Yeah, yeah. So it was a 1990 Coupe
Yeah,
Quattro, um, and at that time it was like the coolest body style from Audi, in my opinion. It was predecessor to the TT and after the Quattro or Quattro Coupe. It's kind of confusing because they're both Coupe and Quattro, but one's Quattro Coupe, one's Coupe Quattro.
yeah,
But regardless, at that time horsepower was few and far between. between, and I got with 2 Bennett Audi Motive, and we decided to swap the engine to kind of like a S2 RS2 motor, how they made them in Europe. So you get the 5-cylinder,
Yeah.
I believe it's a 2.2 liter, and we, while it started like, let's just put the engine in it, but then they're like, well, the engine's out, we might as well throw some rods at it and throw some cams on it, and in the end, man, we did just about everything. That thing was ported, polished, balanced, cams, connecting rods, ceramic coated for heat. A lot of RS2 parts from the Audi RS2, which is a 1993 Porsche massaged wagon.
Yeah.
So that's where the inspiration came from. So you could call it kind of an S2 clone or an RS2 Coupe Plus, because it was about 420 stony horses.
Yeah.
And man, on race gas, it was something. And the sound of a five-cylinder engine is
So good.
it's like what you see on the videos from the 80s with the Sport Quattros. It sounded just like that. Just the price of the mods was worth it for the sound alone. Yeah.
Yeah,
That was a big dump. I mean, we had, I don't know, $30,000 worth of receipts.
Yeah.
Getting that engine in there. But of course we did, huge brakes, like Ferrari brakes, big Brembos, 3-piece rotor, whatever, custom HREs. Like, there just was no end to it. And it did end up being featured in European Car Magazine back when magazines existed. So it was cool.
Yeah.
And I would like to say it inspired a lot of the builds that you can still see today, but I'm going to say for sure that no one has done it as well as I did. Just because I did it, we did it like everything was so factory and perfect. On top of that, to me, the finishing touch was actually, which is what the RS2 had, and no one else does that.
Yeah.
And it's just, to me, it's the little details that are important always.
Yeah, and I feel like you had the right shop doing the job as well, because I've seen the stuff that they do in their shop in general from your videos. Yeah, they definitely seem like the right people to build a car like that.
Yeah, 2Bennett's amazing, and the interesting thing about them is they don't care about who knows what goes on so much, and none of their customers care. Like, they're not all on Instagram.
Yeah,
I mean, 2Bennett has social accounts, but like, their customers aren't about making videos and showing their stuff off. They just have the baddest stuff, and it's like half a secret if you're not in that community.
Yeah. So do you feel like going through that experience, obviously you paid a lot of money, but you got something super cool in the end. Do you feel like going down that slippery slope of spending all the money on that build in particular kind of led you to wanting to build these more budget friendly things that you can, like you described is a good way to put it, is you can buy them at the lowest depreciation and then build them into something you want and probably gain money regardless? Do you feel like that played a big part into you switch into that side?
Yeah, I mean, I just also, it's, after you have kids and stuff, and I don't have the expendable income to just be able to throw money at stuff. But yeah, it's like an addiction. Like, I'm addicted to the deal.
Yeah.
I'm going to wait. I watch a car for 6 or 7 months until, I just watch it drop from 6, 7 grand, 2,500. And then I'm like, oh, it's 2,500. Like, let's go take a look at this thing. Like, I just looked at a really cool 77 Benz SLC 450. They rallied those. That's what really got Benz back into racing. And I watched it drop over 6 or 7 months from 7 grand to 2,500 till I had to go look at it. And then I saw why it was 2,500 and I walked away. But at the same time, I've bought stuff off the marketplace, like some 20-inch wheels from like a CLS or something. And someone's giving them up for like $50 because they only have two because they bent the other two.
Yeah.
And then I'll go ahead and remarket those on eBay or something, and someone will pay 300 something bucks a piece because they need one or two.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's sort of just the game that I find myself playing. And I just know so much that I'll buy BMW stuff to resell it. I don't own a BMW.
Yeah.
I'll see something at a junkyard, like a spoiler for a 4000, an Audi 4000 Quattro, and I'll go grab that spoiler because I know it's $10 at the yard and it's 100 to 200 bucks in the marketplace.
Yeah.
So I'm addicted to that, to my detriment. I find myself in the junkyard pulling plastic pieces off a Porsche Cayenne and listing them up for $30 for this piece and $40 for that piece, just because I know there's a little value there. But sometimes it's better to walk away regardless.
Yeah, and it's money you can kind of funnel into the current projects without feeling too guilty because
Right.
you found it from procuring parts off of another car that you made money off of. So
Yeah, well, that's definitely part of it too, because I'm trying to not take away from the family budget, um, and try to have it feed itself. Like the original plan was to sell this C124, because I figure, I mean, I don't even know, the value is so weird with this one because it's clean title, but it's 200,000 mile car. It's got this Alpine stereo system with a pop up 7-inch head unit and a 12 disc changer. San
yeah,
Francisco of Earthquake of San Francisco sound system, all these MB Quartz crossovers. Like the stereo alone in vintage stereo could be a few $1,000s.
yeah,
But then also, if I was to give this car away for 10 grand, it wouldn't make any sense.
mm,
But you have to have the right person. Like if I put this on BAT or Cars and Bids
yeah,
on the wrong week, you're
yeah,
going to take a bath on this thing. So I don't think I would ever sell it if I do, in an auction site, because you could take a bath on it. But I don't know. I mean,
yeah,
12 to 15 grand to the right person. I mean, 18-inch chrome monoblocks. There's just so many things. It's already color matched all the way around. It's
yeah,
already got iBox springs. Like there's so many things about this car. But then at the same time, every time I get in it, it's like this amazing 90s time capsule, and this, now kind of rare because of the build. And when it's manual swapped, it's going to be like a unicorn. I don't know anyone else with a turbo manual swap CE
yeah.
that I can think of.
Guys over in Europe, but that's about it. As
Right.
far as
Yeah, but this
yeah,
side of the pond, it's like
yeah,
it's not happening.
yeah. No, it's not a thing you're gonna see. Yeah, I go through the same thing with my 124. We talked about that last time we were on your live, and it's a car that's like it's gained enough value for me personally, and I don't have a ton of money into it that it's like it's hard to imagine letting it go for even 10 grand or whatever. But I mean, it makes sense for that money. I could do it. I'm sure you could probably still make a little bit doing that for years too. But it's just like what car can you get at that point for that same money that's going to bring
Right.
the same value, the same fun, the same looks, like and hold value too, which is that's a hard.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes. And the reliability. So the
yeah,
next car I want is like a 2004 CL600
yeah,
twin turbo V12 with, now you've got probably Mercedes-Benz worst era as
hmm,
far as like fiber optics, soft closed doors that failed,
yeah.
vacuum lines,
ABC suspension.
ABC suspension, which I really want, and
It's
it's
cool.
amazing.
Yeah, it's
It's so
amazing.
cool.
Yeah,
I would never get rid of it, but you have to buy that car right.
yeah,
And then I feel like owning that car for life is risky,
yeah,
because at some point the suspension is going to do you dirty,
yeah,
or the electronics or something. But it's such a beautiful pillarless coupe, and you throw you know manifold downpipe exhaust on it, and it's going to sound like a Pagani, and that's really like kind of the next thing that I want, is just that sound where
yeah,
when I'm ripping by, you're like, what was that?
yeah.
You know, I mean, that's as close as I'm getting to a Pagani.
Yeah.
And the CL65 would be amazing, but the price on those is insane.
Have you thought about instead of going to that era, have you thought about like an M120 V12 from the like 90s S classes or like a
Yeah,
L6?
yeah, but again, if I don't know, if I spend the money, I want to have twin turbo. You know,
Makes
like that. The other car I really love is a CLK 55, the generation previous to yours with the more
yeah,
stand up headlights. It's got a very Belly vibe. I don't know if you're familiar with the movie
yeah,
Belly, but
yeah.
um, that like a silver one of those on some monoblocks would be
Yeah.
ridiculous.
They look good.
But for the money, I could throw a couple more thousand at it and get double the horsepower out of a V12, and so that's kind of where my struggle is because it comes back to my sort of valuing everything,
Yeah.
and trying to get the most bang for the buck. But
Yeah.
that CLK it's very tempting.
Yeah.
Like a sub 100,000 mile one for 10 grand would be
Yeah.
cool. And I would love to have an AMG badge. Um, but just, where I'm at and what I'm playing with, I don't see an AMG badge anytime soon.
Yeah. I mean, 208 would be a great. I feel like you would love that car. They're super fun, and I feel like that's one when all of the before the prices started to climb. That was one you could find for so cheap, like all day long. Like I remember seeing them for like nice ones with like less than 150,000 miles for like 3,500 bucks, 2,500 bucks around me. And there's a few that I wish I would have just. I mean, all of us can say that. Like going back, I was like, oh my god, I would have bought that in a heartbeat
Right.
for what they are because they were kind of the like that and the M155 were like the two kind of weird looking different AMGs that people just were kind of loving or hating at the time. But I feel like everyone that I know that has a W2A, especially a CLK 55, they end up just like falling in love with them and keeping them forever.
Yeah, my buddy's about to buy one. It seems like he's always trying to decide what the next thing is. I think he's dropping in on an E500 wagon this week, but
Yeah.
he's always sending me CLKs,
Yeah.
and he has a S55, 2000. I think it's a 2002 or four that
Nice.
we found him for $2,400. That's on my channel.
Yeah.
And so we learned a lot there. And he definitely doesn't want to get into the ABC suspension anymore. But he's
Yeah.
always sending me CLs, and I'm like, yeah, that's not the one you want, but the CLK is definitely the one you want.
Yeah.
Um, Let me show you this. This is like the next steps of the mods
Oh, nice.
for the coupe beyond the 5-speed manual swap. I've been working on
Oh, those are
these
tough.
3-piece Brabus.
Yeah, those are nice.
Yeah, I had them repainted, and now I need to do the lips. They're just sitting here. They're really in pieces. But got these out of Russia right before the conflict broke out about a year and a half ago, and
Yeah.
these are going to be crazy
Yeah.
on the coupe. It's going to be next level.
Those are an absolute classic.
Yeah, that or a Carlson. Like I would
Yep.
go with a Carlson, like 2.6 or whatever it is, like the
Yeah.
3-piece or 2-piece ones.
I saw a set of
But
those pop up in the last year around. I think they were down in Oregon, but a set of Carlsons that I was like, huh, that's tempting.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that or like if I did go that CL600 route, they have that the Brabus. I think it's a monoblock
Mm-hmm.
5, which is
Yeah.
like a 19-inch split 7-spoke
Yeah. They're like the
3-piece.
bigger ones. Those look good.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
Speaking of CL600, I mean, if you end up with one, I'll help you manual swap it because
That would be amazing. That might
they,
be the thing that made it special because
yeah,
there's
that's,
not so much you can do with those.
yeah,
I mean, you can lower them a little bit with lowering links, and it's not really recommended to manipulate the system to get them to go lower.
yeah,
I've seen a lot of problems with that.
yeah,
It just makes the computer angry.
yeah, yeah. That's been probably my most requested thing to manual swap is something V12. So
Yeah, that would make
there's
it super
others that have done
special.
it, but that would be super cool in a car like that to be rowing gears in a pillarless coupe. Something that was a $100,000+ car back then. It'd be cool.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing about those $100,000 cars is the parts don't get any cheaper.
Some of them, yeah. I mean,
Some of them, but not really.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
that's kind of the thing that people don't realize, right? They're like, "Oh, this car is like 5 grand now, and it used to be 100 grand."
yeah,
And it's like, yes, but also each corner of that suspension is 1,000 to 3,000, and and it's also crazy, right? Like everything is just a deep, deep job.
yep,
Nothing's simple because the engineering is super advanced.
yeah. Well, I feel like because I've always loved those cars too, but I knew that they were a headache. But watching, if you watch Legit Street Cars, Alex with his CL, it was like, okay, if this guy is struggling this much with this car, he's like an absolute guru, former master tech, a lot
Yes.
more capable mechanic than I consider myself with all the necessary tools. And he's still like struggling with that thing as much as he did. It really kind of painted the picture in my head of like, yeah, that's probably not it for me, but
Right. 50-hour engine out job for a
yeah.
$5
For a
washer.
little a little O-ring
Yeah.
one, that's just crazy.
Yeah. But that's why you have to buy that car right. I mean, that
Yeah,
particular car that he got from the Hoovy guy who kicked the
yeah,
crap out of it. And it wasn't good to begin with.
yeah,
So that was like, you're going in on that one
yeah.
and you're rolling the dice, but you're doing it for the views in a certain sense.
Yeah, for him,
You
it makes
know,
sense regardless, but, yeah, just watching him struggle with that, I was just like, "God, this looks like a nightmare."
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially the suspension stuff. He was like for, like, I feel like 3 videos straight, he was just trying to figure out the suspension. I still don't even know if he ended up figuring it out. I think he did, but
Right. Yeah, I learned a lot. I watched every one of those videos and I still want one.
yeah.
And I know it's like the biggest trap. It's the biggest trap, but maybe
It's
you could
alright.
do it right for a year or 2 and then get out.
If you, if something goes terribly wrong with the ABC suspension, then you can always swap in coilovers, even though it's not the ideal thing. But
Yeah. Yeah.
if you were too far deep, there could be an escape plan at least.
Yeah, totally. I would never do that to it unless I had to.
Yeah,
In my opinion, like I'm in one of those groups following that car and everyone wants to do that
it takes.
and
I mean, it takes away from what it is. I mean,
right,
like,
it's not this it's like LS swapping a Benz like
yeah,
yeah, but also that just ruins it.
yeah,
I mean, do whatever you want, but
yeah,
what I don't see the point in that. You might as well just build a tubular frame chassis crazy car and, but
yeah,
again, I love all cars, so there's
yeah.
cool stuff is cool stuff. I'm just not going to put a 2 Jay-Z's or 3 Beyoncés into my car. I don't care what it is. You know what I'm saying? Um, I just got back into my car
yeah,
because I wanted to show you and show everybody just a quick like
yeah,
what it looks like in here. We can kind of see gauges and carbon fiber and
yeah.
um,
The wheel's all carbon fiber.
yeah, the wheel. So this is an eBay from Bulgaria purchase, which is probably the best 300 something dollars I ever spent.
Yeah,
This isn't super high quality, the horn cover, but this is full carbon fiber and it just feels great in the hands. And
yeah,
honestly, to pay 1,200 bucks for an AMG steering wheel that is so easily knocked off these days,
yeah,
I just don't trust it. And also, I mean, I'm not going to put 1,200 bucks into a steering wheel on this car.
yeah.
I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah, that thing's sweet.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just deep, deep '90s vibes. It's got the crossover in here,
Channels, that's
or
crazy.
all the sorry, not the crossover, but my mind's getting blown.
We got a question. It says, "I like the gauge placement. Did you just cut into the lower dash for those?"
Oh yeah, so I did actually make a video about it, but I did cut into the lower dash, and it was really easy. it took some planning and, you take your time, but I looked at all the options and, the kind of the best spot for viewing, of course, would be to put it in the center vents. But, um, that kind of goes back to some of my philosophies and I didn't want to reduce the venting and throw that all away.
Yeah.
Um, and down by the knees is like, it's not great for tall people, and it might not necessarily be the best in an accident, but that seemed like the cleanest place where I could put it. And to me, that's important. Like, you're not going to catch me with an A-pillar gauge, and I'm not going to bolt some pod up. I'm just not going to, right? Because that's not clean. So
Yeah.
but yeah, there's a full video on it, and that actual panel, while it is padded, because Mercedes added padding in the W124s for impact, it does have a thin layer of aluminum inside of it. And so you kind of cut away the circle with an X-Acto, and then you can hit it with a hole saw.
Yeah.
Yep, easy.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah.
Like the radio block-off plate that I made for my C55, when I have a couple gauges. I actually have them already, but I need to install. I'll probably end up sticking them there because, I don't want to have a pillar gauge or like slap some 3D printed thing on top of I'm not really a big fan of the way those end up looking. So like some of them you can integrate, make them look natural, or like I've seen some of the vent ones look okay, but other than that, I feel like they look cooler kind of in a custom spot that you find.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's just got to be clean.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
So that was a big struggle. Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about 3D printing something for the vents, and then I just decided I'd put them there by the knees.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah.
So what's gonna be your is the manual swap a full go, you think? Like it's gonna happen regardless, or you still contemplating a bit?
Yeah, I don't see any reason why it wouldn't happen at this point. I mean, someone kindly sent me a bunch of information, and I haven't been able to sift through it yet. And because I'm not even going to start that project until school opens up in August, I just haven't delved into it. But it does look like I really just need a manual flywheel for the inline six, and then the rest of it is already in the car.
Yeah.
And it seems like it's a direct bolt up without any sort of adapter plate or anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I would assume so, just because there was, I mean, at that time, the 5 speeds were still a thing. So,
right. And they used them in the 4 and 5 cylinder diesels and in the inline 6 and 4 gas engines for W124.
Yeah.
So it should cross right over. Yeah, I mean, there's going to be some other things. Like, it looks like I might have to hammer my tunnel.
Yeah.
And being that, I don't know, what was the transmission? Is it a Benz transmission that you used in your car?
Yeah, it's out of a C230 compressor hatch, and that's the same thing I'm looking for the C36. It's a 716 gearbox, a 6-speed, but it has a little bit different like bell housing than the later ones have a round bell housing, but so I can't remember. It's not the same bell housing as the 5 speeds. Those are 717s, I think. Is that what they're called?
Yeah, it's something like that. I have to look at the numbers again. It's yeah. But yeah, I'm kind of hoping that because it's of the same era and it was already in those chassis, that I don't have to make a bracket for my transmission mount.
I feel like you should have to, because it uses the same style mount that you should have in the car. So I think you'll be
right.
Might be direct placement. It's just going to move forward or backwards.
Right. Yeah. So I'm hopeful, but I'm going to try to get all that like lined up so that I don't know, hoping maybe within a week I can do the whole thing in 1 week at the school.
Yeah.
For both the cars there, drop it, swap it, bang it.
Yeah.
Hang it.
That'll be super cool. It'll be a fun video series to make, having them both there, like on the lifts and stuff. It'll be a good one.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, I don't know, that community, the W124 community, like watches a lot of videos and
Yeah.
likes a lot of stuff. Like that's really what's allowed my channel to be monetized was
Yeah.
documenting the turbo because every one of those videos hit
Yeah.
and I shared it on the groups on Facebook and people ate it up. And then my mind is blown sometimes when I like drive a cool Audi or I go to like the winter driving school and then I get like 300 views and I'm just like, weird. Like, why don't all of you on the channel want to watch it? But I get that people watch what they're interested in, and not everyone sits there and consumes
Yeah.
content like I do.
Well, and I feel like the Coupe 124s especially have such a cult following that like people. I mean, I see like those little videos of like I don't know what you call them, like collages or highlight reels of like different 124s put together, like cool builds put together. So I feel like people go down the rabbit hole searching for those, and then they'll want to see a full length video where somebody's actually building them. So that's a probably easy way to get people to come onto the videos. But yeah, it is
Yeah,
weird how some will just I don't know. I try not to even pay attention anymore because some of it just seems totally irrational. Like
right.
you'll put like the best work you thought you ever did, and then it's just like nothing. And then I'll put out a video that required not much from me, and it'll do super well. So it's
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
that
trying to train myself to not like keep looking at it and seeing how many views there are because it's only going to be what it's going to be. But
yeah.
I still keep going back and checking on it,
Yeah, no,
which is
you do,
crazy.
but yeah, it's a habit, and it's just one of those things. Like having an early channel, like it's just slow growth, and as long as it's growing in the right way, there's going to be like those I don't know what you call them, like topple over moments where all of a sudden you'll reach a new spot, and then this will become the norm, and then again. But yeah, it's hard when you're in the moment of like, man, what the hell? I thought this was going good, and now it's
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, and I gotta remember that I'm doing it more for the fun,
yeah,
to get the keys to people's cars and, because my whole philosophy in life is like you have to try to
yeah,
succeed, and if you don't follow your dream, then it's always just gonna be a dream,
yeah,
but, fail and try again or this was the first time that I really put effort in. Like I used to do a series called The Real Ollie G Show on my personal channel. And the thing about that, I think, was it was too much about me. Like, sure, I was doing some interesting things, but, I didn't try pushing it that hard. And this, I came in with an effort of just making sure I was going to put out a video every week
yeah,
and the consistency. And then you just see that it pays off, but it has a lot to do with the vehicles that
yeah,
I'm checking out, and it has just a little bit to do with me.
yeah,
That's what I kind of love about your channel is it's like it's your vehicles, but it's also you. And for my channel, it's like it is me. I'm the host, but also I'm trying to make it about all these different cars. Um, and I guess that's kind of my net
yeah,
in a sense. Like I'm trying to have this broad net and bring people in, but at the same time, just whatever I'm interested in
yeah.
and whatever cars come around. Like I'll review a Yugo if it's
Yeah,
cool.
there's one for sale near me actually right now. It's like a 3500 super clean one. I was like, man, if somebody likes these, it'd be a great one to buy.
They probably want so much money.
It's like 3 grand, I think. It's cheap.
Oh,
Yeah,
really? That's not bad. There was one here in town that someone wanted like $4,500 for. It was super clean, but still, I'm like, for a Yugo,
yeah. Shout out to JJJ, 1995 C36 owner from Syria.
yeah,
Content, 140 kilometers, going to a repair shop. Sweet to look at some minor things to get checked. Yeah, that's how it goes. But fantastic car you got.
yeah,
Uh,
that's a cool car.
my dream car to have. I still can't even believe when I look and see that I have a C36. It's unreal to me. But
Yeah, your collection's rad.
it's it's
It's
gotten a
rad.
little out of hand. But I'm thankful that it's where it's at. It's probably going to dwindle down here in the next year or so, but it'll dwindle back up at some point, I'm sure, or it'll just allow
Dwindle up.
for yeah, allow for some things to change around a little bit. But I was gonna say, speaking of like you're saying you really got to go for something if you want to try. Otherwise, you don't know if you're gonna be good at it or not, or be successful with it or not. Might as well just try. And it kind of goes into your kind of philosophy with which I resonate with. It's just like the universe will bring you certain opportunities, and just things being connected to that whole type of energy. Like, where did that come from for you? Just kind of seeing things that way.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I just I don't know. It's
Yeah.
like I just I guess I didn't always feel that way or always think that way,
Yeah.
but I love Egyptian history, and I was going to Peru for a while, and like the Inca were the last people to be in Peru really. And but you look at the stonework, and it's all about like Pachamama, which is Mother Nature, and it's about sort of like communing with all of that stuff to a certain degree.
Yeah.
But I really do feel, and I've kind of seen the effects of the positivity. Like, it's so easy to go online and you see, I'm on all these different groups for every car I've reviewed. Someone will post up their car and someone's like, "Oh, that's cool, but I hate those wheels," or "Why would you do that?" Or and
Yeah.
it's like, what I always have been saying lately is like painted drum brakes and K&N stickers are still a sign of enthusiasm,
Yeah.
even though like eventually you learn to not paint your drum brakes, and you don't need to rep your K&N, and you shouldn't up badge your car.
Yeah.
But my approach is, instead of even if I have the instinct, the initial thought of like, yeah, I don't like those wheels,
Yeah.
I'd rather just hit it with a thumbs up or be like, nice, I like that, good build, like keep going. um And I find that, helping, like making a video series for people to help them, or, commenting something positive for someone, or always trying to stay positive, has returned that positivity. And it really does go that way. I mean, if you're angry and you're tired and you're negative, your immune system is run down and you get sick. That's
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
just a reality. And that, the earth has a resonance. We have magnetic fields around the earth. We're electrical beings
Yeah.
with water. And, when you touch your feet to the ground with your bare feet, there's actually a benefit.
Yeah.
And so, if you want to look at Star Wars and say that there's the Force, that Star Wars is like a funny story. Like, you could look at that and go, okay, well, there's light and dark, and there's
Yeah.
the Force, and guess what? Well, there's a magnetic force around the earth. And I don't know, I'm out there meditating, trying to lift those rocks and get that Yoda on my back,
Hmm.
basically.
Agreed.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it works. So I mean, as much positivity as I try to put out, and be kind, you know
Yeah.
I don't know if that's why cars fall into my lap, and good deals, and why I haven't bought a lemon yet. I'm sure that's coming, but um you know some people only buy lemons.
I think it definitely plays a part. I feel the same way. Like, I mean, some of the stories that have happened with the cars are just like unreal, like unbelievable how they either came to me or how I found them, or the story of somehow getting them. Like, you just experienced that with the 190D. Like, it was a back
Right,
and forth. Like, am I even going to get this thing? And then it ends up
right,
coming through. Like, it's those type of things that, it just makes you, wonder. And it at least makes you feel good about having that positive outlook, and the possibility that that's very tied in with those opportunities opening up to you and coming your way. So, not to be like all woo woo about it, but
right.
yeah, it's a cool thing. And I think it's definitely a benefit for you guys out there. Try to practice as much positivity as you can, because I mean, in the end, shit happens. Like, you're gonna go through
Right.
tough stuff, but if you got a good attitude about it, you'll get through it. And versus, just totally feeling like, oh, something bad happened, I'm just gonna give up. Like, you don't get anything from that. So yeah.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's not easy for everyone to stay positive, but
Yeah.
even you know,
Yeah.
even if you have very little, you can still be just as happy or more happy than someone that has a lot.
Yeah.
Some people have a lot and they got nothing at the same time. So
Yeah. Shout out in the comments real quick. Josh, Mercedes Swap Shop, my tuner. Great person in
yes,
the Benz community, said, fully agree. All enthusiasts express their passions differently based on their knowledge and ability. No one should be put down for what they like. That's a great way to say it, Josh. And Mig, I saw your comment earlier asking about the solid mass from the diesels fitting the M113s. There are some that will like directly go, but some of the depths are a little bit different. So you have to. I remember finding a thread like out of Russia on this topic, um, but there was something that ended up working. I can't remember what it was, but and then a solid mass conversion flywheel will work with M113. Yes, there's a handful of companies that do such. Kangaroo's team, Ren Sport, Alumotive is working on one of those right now. Good buddies over at Alumotive are also developing ITB kits for the M113 and later M104. So yeah, there's definitely options out there for solid flywheels. Josh actually just did the Kangaroos team swap on his M113K 6-speed. So Kangaroos,
sick.
you guys know, they helped me with my E420 swap. They're the ones that we developed the Camber kits for the C55 together. They're fantastic people. Great resource to have. And
Yeah, I got their manifold. So
yeah,
they have a cast and they have a tubular manifold for the
yeah,
M103. And that I mean that's what sets it off. If you got the
yeah,
manifold, it's a done deal.
yeah, yeah. They're killer products and just super nice guys. They're out of Sofia, Bulgaria, and just super cool guys and super helpful. I'll hopefully have a turbo M104 manifold on this thing one day.
That'd be sick.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
do it.
end goal is 6-speed turbo and maybe a standalone of some kind.
Hmm.
But that's a
Yeah, I love it.
that's the long game. That's gonna cost some money.
Yeah, yeah. Eventually, I mean, you can get in so deep, like
Yeah,
like I did with my Audi. I got in so deep, and still, it was, it was a combination with Two Bennett and I. So they did me really great pricing, but in the end, I sold that car for 12 grand because I needed the money, and so I took a bath on it.
yeah,
Um, and even if I had it now, I mean, you see people offering these cars up for 30 grand, but you don't see people actually buying them
I know that's
because
the thing.
everyone wants to do that themselves. It's
Yeah,
like, yeah, that's cool, but I would have done it this way or I would have done it that way. I mean, that's the reality of when you do a full custom car, it's rare that it fits the next person's desires and they don't want to do it themselves.
yeah, it's rare overall. And my wife just said, don't swap my car. I won't swap it. But um, it's rare to be able to put that much money into any car and expect to be able to like get that money back when you sell it, unless you're doing like some full restoration Barrett Jackson type deal where you're putting 80 grand in a car and selling it for 200 or whatever. But like,
Right.
I can imagine it must have been super tough for you to have to let it go for 12K at that time. But at the same time, you got to enjoy it and you got to experience it. So
Yeah.
not a, that's not where you were going into it, I'm sure, with the mindset of like, I'm going to take a loss on this one day. No, you're just building it and you just let it
Yep.
go to where it went. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. It took 3 years. And a lot of that was, changing ideas and the fact that I wasn't paying full retail. But along the way, too, Bennett built a lot of other 5-cylinder turbos and learned a lot. And yeah, when it came out, it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, pay to play. Like I just amortized that over the years that I had it and how much I loved it. And in the end, if you got some photos and some memories,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool and sometimes good enough.
I mean, and you got to drive it. So some people dream of driving that.
Yeah, I got to drive it on Infineon Raceway. I don't know if they still call it Infineon. It might be called something else. Sears Point Infineon in the rain, sideways, uphill through the corners.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. 420 horsepower race gas, just four-wheel drifting everywhere. That car was ridiculous.
Yeah, one of funny experience, and this was, I mean, as a kid, that body style, the '90s Audis, the '90s Benz, the '90s Beams, like those are really what was like the most attractive to me. Just just caught my eye as a kid. And one of my first experiences in like an actual fast car, I was like probably 15 or 16, and my buddy, we worked at Safeway together, and every week we're getting our little paychecks, and he collected enough money to go buy this cheap 5-cylinder turbo Audi, and it was a basket case, but like
Mm,
he had it running right a couple times, and I just that feeling. If you guys have never been in a Quattro, like a nice setup Audi, it's different than any car that I've felt. Like that feeling of that turbo jolt and the all wheel drive system on those, it was so much fun. Um,
yeah.
so yeah, I definitely recommend it to anybody out there. Go experience one at least. Get a ride in one. Do something. They're very cool cars.
Here's this was from Super Street magazine, which my car was also in,
Nice.
and I got it framed up here. I don't have the European Car Magazine one framed up, but yeah, the coupe was
That's cool.
awesome. Funny story about the coupe was I basically got it back. It had to be the summer of Fast and Furious when that movie first came out,
Yeah.
and we went out one Friday night and ended up finding some illegal drags out in the industrial areas, and I blew off like a couple Mustangs and went up against this guy that had this crazy turboed Civic, like
Yeah.
a little Civic hatch, but it was one of those deals where like he'd done all the engine,
Yeah.
but he hadn't done any brakes. And so we were basically racing a quarter mile into a frontage road that
Yeah.
then had, a median and the highway.
Yeah.
And I had huge brakes, so I just slowed down, but he barely gathered it up sideways and was able to slow down enough that he went off the road just a little bit into the median toward the highway,
Oh,
and luckily didn't do any damage or go through the fence. But it
sheesh.
was just a funny thing because, it was like, the Fast and Furious thing was so crazy. And, the cops showed up there and we all left. And then we made to 7-Eleven. And then we all went to this other road out in this other industrial area. And people were showing up in Jeeps with like 5 people deep. And I was lined up against like this, I think it was a RX-7.
Oh
And we
yeah.
were waiting, but there was people everywhere. It was like, it had
Yeah.
to be 300 people. And then the cops showed up again and we all took off. But
Yeah. It's a
the,
whole culture, man. I
yeah,
experienced my fair share of it in my like late teens, early 20s. That whole scene. It's still going on, obviously. Unfortunately,
yeah.
it's turned to like some of it's turned to what we see online of the
Well,
crazy.
the takeovers, yeah, the
Yeah.
takeovers are insane.
Yeah.
Although I love seeing people get hit and just see their carcasses go flying because, survival of the fittest.
That's like, what are
And,
you doing? What do you expect? Yeah.
like, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
seriously, like you're
Yeah.
hanging out the trunk of this car. Yeah, you're going to get tossed. You're
Yeah.
standing over here. That's not a good idea.
Yeah.
Luckily, those people don't seem to die, but
I've,
they get up with a limp.
I don't know how. Yeah, I've just the wildest stuff. You just see them get just walloped and just
Yeah.
stand up. Like, I mean, I don't think they know who they are anymore, but like, they're still alive. It's
Yeah. On
yeah,
the upside, now that, it's been so many years and there's the trickle down and we got past the graphics and we got past like the craziness of the Fast and Furious, you see it blend down now into Matchbox and Hot Wheels, and the car culture has come down so far
yeah,
that now young kids get to see like E500 Matchbox cars
yeah,
and other cool like rare Volvos and just things that didn't exist before when it was only like Ferrari, Lamborghini, you know,
yeah,
Corvette, Stingray. So I can see a positive side
yeah,
to Fast and Furious, where before it was just like, man, this is not good right now.
yeah. It's the
Yeah,
guiltiest of pleasures. The first, I still love the first one. Like, it's a guilty pleasure, but
right.
what it's turned into now is just it's like what
Yeah,
happened?
but the
Yeah,
culture is hilarious because I,
yeah,
I used to kind of hate it, the
yeah,
Fast and the Furious, because it was just like the graphics and stuff, and I'm like, "Oh, this is not good." Kinda like when Subarus came to the US. Huge fan of Colin McRae
Yeah.
and the early Subaru WRXs, and then when they came to the US, it was just every 16-year-old kid with a puka shell necklace
Yeah.
dropped in
With
on one and crashed it, and it just ruined,
yeah.
um,
Ruined what it
that
was.
car for me.
Yeah.
It ruined it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still want an Evo 5, but yeah, Subaru's
Mm,
kind of lost their touch for me. I mean, their STIs are
yeah.
still they're fun, but
Tommy Mackinnon edition,
yeah,
Lancer Evo.
if I can get a TM Evo 5, that would be unbelievable. Or just Evo 5 that I can do a little bit of homage to something like that. But
I'll have to
uh,
send you pictures of, I went to the dealership in Japan one year when I was there for snowboarding,
yeah,
and I got the brochure for the Tommy Mackinnon edition, and it's got, like, what is it? It's like 10 by or 7 by 10 glossies
yeah.
of action photos and all this cool stuff. It's like a high-end folder that they gave out.
Oh, definitely.
Um,
Take pics of that.
it's
That's awesome.
super cool. It's so,
Yeah.
so cool. Yeah.
Also, Josh commented earlier, speaking of the Kangaroos team, said Kangaroo got mine to me 2-day freight shipping. Which, yeah, they literally when they built the camber kits with me, I sent them measurements. He sent me back the 3D file. We mocked up a few other things, and then like within a week they were at my house. It was insane. Like I don't. They made them out of billet, all custom design, all every like a week. So anything that you buy that's already ready to go, yeah, everything I've got from them is like 2 to 6 days at max, and it's coming from all the way from Bulgaria. If you guys are in the state
Right.
ordering, so
That's crazy.
it's wild. And he said he's driven, and I've driven as well, the Rennsport kits, and compared to the Kangaroos team, it's very noisy. He said Kangaroo is
Hmm.
perfect. I can agree. My E420 feels fantastic with the single mass. Um, I did drive my buddy Dallas M113 supercharged with the Rennsport setup, which it felt good, but Kangaroo's team, in my opinion, is a no brainer, especially when you look at cost comparing both the kits. I think they're a better deal. So yeah,
Yeah, I was looking at those too, perusing the Kangaroos site for the swap stuff.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, you can always just get something like a whole kit from them if you don't find the factory flywheel that you're looking for. But
Yep.
I'm sure one of those will turn up. And the good thing about those is those are all single mass back then, right? Like
I haven't gained that knowledge yet,
I I think they
but
are.
probably.
All the ones back then are should be single mass, so they're pretty beefy. You'd be fine on your motor, and then you just buy the diesel pressure plate and clutch pack, and
Yep.
should be good.
Yeah, probably. Might as well throw a new clutch in there while it's all
Yeah,
apart,
yeah,
regardless of how that one was. I
yeah.
gotta suck all the glass out of the mechanism. That's the biggest problem right now to shift that thing is there's like
Oh,
shards
I
of
remember.
glass
Yeah,
in the mechanism, just making it
I was
hard
laughing
to
at
hard to
that.
operate.
I was watching that video yesterday, and when you were like, "Oh, I think I should reverse it in," and then you're like, "Oh, the glass and the shifter." You're like shifting it for a second, then it just cuts to you just driving straight in.
Yep. Yeah, I was like, enough of this. Yeah.
Oh man! All right, guys. Well, we passed an hour, 9 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Won't keep you guys much longer, but just want to say special thank you to Ali again. Appreciate you, man. And if you guys haven't already, while we've been on the live, go subscribe to Auto Afflicted. He's got great stuff, and just help support another person in this Benz community that we're in, and it's awesome. So appreciate you, man. Thank you for giving us some time.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure. I love what you do, and yeah, it's nice to have someone who delves into this stuff and whose brain I can pick. And man, you've been going hard. I got to give you kudos. I'm like, how does he put out a video like every other day?
I
It's
don't know.
insane.
I guess it's just like you turn up the fire, and then it just like it becomes a little bit normal. The thing that I'll
Right.
credit for that actually, and this is credit to my wife because she pushed me to do this, and it kind of goes back. Well, this will be the last thing before we go, guys. But credit to what you were saying about like uh, influencing yourself or inputting yourself into the videos as well. When I first started, I was like, I'm just gonna focus on the cars. Like, it's not really about me at all. And then I realized that a lot of the channels I watch, like, I really enjoy, the persons themselves too. So I want to learn a bit about them. And my wife really pushed me to be like, make more like vlog styles, let people figure out who you are a little bit. And the more and more I got comfortable with that, then the easier it became to create more content. Really, it's just like the adventures I'm going on as well.
Right.
And then the biggest component to being able to do the 3 videos a week that I try to now, doesn't happen every week, but is doing Vlogmas. That was like whatever that was. That was like my training, because it's 30 days in a row of videos.
Right.
It's like this sweat to try to make a video every day, but that really got me. It just opened my eyes to be like, oh, if I can do a video every day, I can for sure do at least 2-3 videos a week.
Yeah.
So that was like the training method. So I guess I'll credit that. So next year, try it out, and maybe it'll.
Vlogmas sounds crazy, but
It's
it is
fun.
all in how you do it, right? Like
Yeah,
some of my videos, I only shoot what I need, and it's all very much in sequence, and it can come together so quick. And then,
yeah,
like, I just put out one today from taking my kids camping and off-roading in the Porsche, and
yeah.
I just shot so much footage of just things, and then I had to go back and get some history of the area and do a bunch of voiceover to tie it all together, and that just takes time, and
Oh yeah,
it
yeah,
is what it is. Like, some edits are quick and some edits are a lifetime.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. It's Wednesday, guys. So that means Ollie dropped a video. So go check it out. I'll go watch it later too.
Yeah, I do try to drop every Wednesday.
Yeah,
But lately I have been thinking, well, it's like, if I'm a little bit behind and stressed, like I'm just gonna go to sleep tonight and I'll drop this one Thursday or Friday. Cause in
yeah.
the end also it's like you
Self
gotta you
motivation.
gotta keep yourself sane. And I start getting so stressed that I gotta crank this thing out and
Yeah,
deliver it on time. And you wanna do it right so that it gets traction. So
yeah,
anyway. But
yeah,
like what you're doing is also the more you do, the more you can do, and the less you do, the less you can do. You could do so many things in a day when you're cramming it all in over and over again. And
yeah,
when you start to kick back and take a nap and live life slow, that you can only get three things done.
yep. Yeah, it's easier to keep something in motion that's already in motion. So I
Hmm.
try to keep myself in motion. But on that note,
Cool.
guys, keep yourselves in motion.
Yes.
Thank you again, Ali. Thank you guys all that joined in. Really love having you guys in the chats, and makes it fun for us to chime back and forth. So appreciate you guys.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And we got to do a trip someday out to Salt Lake. We can see Ali, and likewise, if he's ever up here, you guys already know, we'll connect and make some videos driving each other's cars and all that nonsense. So
Yeah, Andrew Owen subbing up. Thank you so much. And
appreciate you.
yeah, absolutely. We got to figure out. We'll find it somewhere in the middle, or who knows?
Yeah,
Maybe there's a car. There's a couple cars in your area I needed to buy, but I didn't. So
yeah,
maybe
yeah. We always send each
the
other.
universe will put us together.
Yeah, it'll happen. So we'll let it be. We'll let it coast to that time. So
There you go.
all right, guys. We'll catch
Well,
you guys
thanks,
on the next
Brooks.
one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you, Ali, and peace till the next time.
Absolutely. Later,
Later.
y'all.